Hi, today we'll be looking at skill number 6, module Illustrator, and we'll be looking at working with the gradient mesh tool in Illustrator. I will just show you the basics first before we begin with the candle assignment, which I'm going to show it to you today. The gradient mesh tool works really well, and suppose if you want to give different colors at every nodes of your vector path. For example, you can work two ways with your gradient mesh tool. One is, let's say if we have made a design and if I want to manually assign my gradient mesh to this particular vector object, I can just select my gradient mesh tool from my toolbar and I can click on the lines or edges or the strokes of my vector object, which will actually produce these meshes within the objects vertically and horizontally. Alright, now if you could see, I'll just make another object just to make you understand much better. Let's say over here is another object. Now if you could see, I have this object is actually made up of nodes. Like these are nodes, if you see, and I can make changes to these nodes. But then suppose if I want to color them, I would be coloring the entire object, not these nodes over here, right? Now of course this object is here, it is not visible due to the color being white over here. Alright, so I was talking about this object where I would like to color these nodes individually, where of course in my normal object I would not be able to, I do not have the liberty to actually give colors to these nodes in this particular vector object. But when I have put and worked with my mesh tool within my vector object, I can actually give color to my nodes. If you see, I have got nodes on my object. These are nodes in my object. I can, with my direct selection tool, I can select the nodes which I want to color and I can give colors to individual nodes. Individual nodes can have different colors. Individual nodes. You can see over here, you can just select, give color, select, give color. I can give any color I want to my nodes over here, and I can make interesting objects like for example fruits I can make, and I can make a lot of interesting things, which of course this gradient mesh also gives a look and feel of a 3D object as well, which where normally I would not be able to do to this normal vector object of mine. But yes, when suppose if I am utilizing or using this mesh tool on this object also, I can give my mesh over here, and then with my direct selection tool I can select these nodes, and yes, I can give different colors to different nodes. So this is one way of working, the advantage of working with mesh tool for giving the feel and look of a 3D object, and plus you can actually put different colors to different nodes within your object. Of course, this kind of effect can be actually we can actually get this kind of effect with the gradient tool, which is available here. But then gradient tool will give us color in a pattern. This way, this gradient mesh doesn't have any pattern. You can select any node over here and can actually give color. Any node, even one node. If you want to select and you want to give a color, you can give a color over here. And yes, another best advantage of this is like you can move your mesh however you want, if you see over here. So you can make a lot of things. You can make different changes and beautiful changes, in fact, you can do with your mesh object. Alright, so this was one of the examples which I just showed you. You can just when you want to give work with your mesh tool, you can just have an object and just select your mesh and then start giving your mesh within your object, which will actually give you an output like how you can see on the screen. This is how it is. All right. Another way of giving mesh or applying mesh to your object is, we'll just do Control Z so that I can go back to the original origin of my object. Control Shift Z to redo the step. Another way of applying gradient mesh is, one way is by just directly going over here in your toolbar and selecting the mesh tool and then clicking on your object. Another way is going to object and you have create gradient mesh, where you have rows and columns. You can increase the number of rows you want depending upon the type of object you want. If you could see, I have given 10 rows, and you can see I have got 10 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows, and 5 columns. I can increase these columns as I want, of course. And you can see, suppose if I want to go in for more detailing work, I can actually increase my columns here. And I have few appearance that is flat, where it would not give you any predefined output. Center, where you could see that the center is already in a different way. And then you have edges. So you will be able to see that there you can have different types of appearance over here, and however you feel comfortable, you can work with them. All right. So this is how you can actually work with your mesh tool. Of course, you can do the same thing as how you have been able to do here also as well. Like for example, let's say you can just go to your direct selection tool, select, and you can give colors like this. Same way like how you had done it by directly using this tool on an object, on a vector object. Okay. So let us go on and try to build something. Of course, there are a lot of different things which a faculty member would be showing in terms of this mesh tool. Like I have seen faculty members giving and working with showing them apples and showing them fruits and showing them flowers and all these things. I would like to show you flame, like let's say a candle burning actually, and I would like to take that example and try to show you how you can build a candle and a flame, of course, with the help of this mesh tool. All right, so let's get started. Let us put first and foremost basically the basic colors, that is black and white. Of course, we'll later change the color, and first and foremost thing is we'll build the flame. So let's get started right away. We'll try to build the flame as natural as possible, like how flame should be. And you, of course, you can make a lot of changes to your designs over here. You can do a lot of changes, you know, like however you want, of course. Okay, all right. And here, let's say you can just squeeze a bit so that basically it looks like a flame over here. All right. So I have this particular, you can make more changes if you want, because suppose if you want it to be more curvy and all, like you can have it more curvy. And more curvy over here so that it gives much better results. All right. What I will do is to get the output of a flame, I will actually put it as a orange color. I'll give it as an orange color to this particular. I'll give it an orange color. That is okay. All right. Then I will not use this mesh tool. I will rather use a predefined systematic way, that is create gradient mesh from an object. I'll just go again, selecting my object. I'll go to my object. I'll say create gradient mesh, and I've got this mesh over here. Now it depends. Suppose if you want if you want to be more detailed, you can actually go in for more number of rows. If you want less detailing, you can go in for less number of rows. But also you have to understand that the object size and proportion also plays an important part, because if this object has lot of rows and columns for a mesh, you may see that you may not be able to work with it more comfortably. So it's better that you have lesser rows over here, if you could see that, so you can work much better due to the shape of the object. Of course, the meshes will go here and there. So what we'll do is we'll have 4 minimum, and we'll go here, we'll have 4, and to the center we'll keep the appearance to the center, we'll keep the preview on so that I can actually see what is the output which I'm getting, and I will keep the highlight to 100%, and I'll say okay. Alright, now this looks pretty much good, but then I want more realistic look of this, so I will go to my direct selection tool. First, if the object is selected, I will deselect my object, and then I will click and drag to select multiple nodes to give color. And what I will do, as you could see, the tip of always the tip of the flame is more of a reddish in color, that is so I'll just give more red over here, this place, more red, this place, and then when I come down, I would likely to go little less, that is orange, and then maybe the down part could be yellow over here. This should also be a bit of orangish, and then this one should also be a little yellow. Alright, okay, I feel this looks pretty okay. Also, it's suppose if you want more, if you want to change something, you can always change. You can just move your things over here so that you can have more defined, can be more defined basically. And of course, suppose if you want to choose multiple, you can press shift and choose multiple nodes over here, and we'll give it white. So that's more white over here, and just go here and I'll just give white. Alright, this looks pretty good over here at this place. I've got my flame right away. I'll just keep my flame, okay, I'll just go to my selection tool, and please remember that while you are working with this, you don't have to, like suppose if you want to move the entire object, you can actually move the entire object with your selection tool and not with your direct selection tool. Alright, now I'll again take the pen tool, and what I would do is I would like to make the candle, so I'll just start right away. I'll just deselect the object and go here and select some color, let's say blue color, and I'll go and will make my candle. You can choose any size and shape of your candle you want. I mean, this is just of course this is an intermediate level tutorial which I'm showing you. You can always have your own way of working, and I have got my candle also over here at this place, and I'll just move this up a bit. Then of course I'll resize it, resize this accordingly, and then I'll just take the tip of my candle where I'll just have it here simply, and or you can make one, let's say for example, or you can just take a pencil tool and you can just make a stroke over here, but you can actually increase the stroke, the weight of the stroke, it's much thicker like this. Alright, this is okay, and I'll just make it 5 or 4 or something like that. Alright, I'll give a gradient mesh. I'll work with the gradient mesh tool with this candle also, so I'll go over here to my object, I'll say create gradient mesh tool, and 4 and 4, I'll just increase this to 5, let's say 5, sorry, and I'll say okay. So I've got pretty good over here, pretty good mesh over here. I'll just select the first half. I should be very careful, like for example, if I don't want to disturb this, I'll just say object and I'll log the selection so that this is logged, so that by mistake this doesn't get selected. I'll say log selection. Alright, now even if you just click over here, you will not be able to select this. So I'll just come here, select this first half at this place and give a color. It's always better to give different shades to different sides of your candle, like for example like this, which I'm just doing, so that it gives a different output altogether. This is wonderful, I feel. This is okay. You can always go about, you can experiment on your design however you want. You can experiment as much as you want. Alright, this is done. This is good, I feel. This is enough. And what I will do, I'll make some droplets, like for example the droplets which are actually falling down from this. So I'll just go here and I'll just make droplets like this. And what I'll do, I'll just keep them here, just move them a bit, and I will not use the gradient mesh because the object is very small. So I'll try to use the gradient tool over here at this place, and I'll give the color of the candle, you should see, of course RGB, and I'll just come here and let's say RGB and try to give a green color. So this way again I can make this a little larger, so, and I'll not use any strokes, of course. If you want to make it more brighter, you can always go in for a darker color so that it's more bright over here in this place. I'll resize this as per, and then I'll make multiple copies, like for instance, and I can make them small and smaller, and I can keep them as however I want over here at this place. So it gives a much realistic look. I'll double click to get it back here. Now I need to unlock these, of course, so I'll just go and I'll say unlock all and resize a bit so that it comes within the frame. Always remember that whatever you do, it should be within the frame over here. Now against the white background it looks pretty much you know, empty and doesn't strike out as it should be. So what we'll do a few things, like we'll cheat, we'll have some cheating techniques. We have some cheating techniques which we can actually use to make it more highlighted and more it would appear more striking. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go here and we'll take an ellipse tool, which where you could always see a halo which actually comes behind your flames. And this one where I will just go to my gradient windows, and I'll just take the gradient tool, and this one I'll take it as red, and this one I'll take it as yellow, and I'll keep it as radial, so that's more of a from the center over here at this place. And I'll move this object behind the flames like this, and I'll take another rectangle tool, which where I will just draw the size of the page, and I will give simply a black color. So of course you don't need to give strokes, you can just remove the strokes, and you can say object center back. Of course here if you see the edges are much you know, like the flames actually get faded away at the edges, so you can come here and you can add one more of this over here, and you can give a white color so that it actually blends. Or what you can do is you can try a black color also. Let's see if I just come here and give a black color. Alright, this is good. And what I'll do is I'll just move this a bit here, blends properly. Right, this is okay. You don't want it more sharp, you know, like it should not be very sharp, it can be really just move it behind, and I can work as much as I want to make it look more beautiful, you know, to make it look more interesting. Just reduce these flames over here in this place, or if you want to keep it this way, you can keep it this way, or you can actually try the other way around, of course. Alright, this looks more promising over here at this place. It's wonderful. Or suppose if you don't want this object, you can just delete this, and or you can have it, and let's say you can just suppose if you can just put this as a white color, of course, so that this is white. You will not have any strokes over here. And just go here and I'll just swap this. I'll just have a stroke here. Of course, I can increase the strokes. This place. That's cool. If you want, you can have an effect over here on this object, like go to stylize and you have feathers. So you can have a feather over here and you can preview, basically. You can put the preview on. Let's say, for example, if you just increase this, you see, okay, that's too much actually. Just put it as 1. It's okay, or maybe 1.5 or 1.3. I can try various methods over here so that this object looks more better. I can always have a more yellow light in this place. That's much brighter. I can reduce the effects if I want. It will look much brighter. Okay, so this was actually working with the gradient mesh tool. You can always have different styles. You can work with different styles, different methodology, and you can have various ways. Of course, you can also give a feather effect to this one. You can try it out, and you can build much better. You can just keep on trying and keep on doing experimenting on the amount of assignments which you give to a student. This is just one of the basic intermediate level which I have tried to show you for the beginners, and you can always use this one as one of your assignments. Thank you.